Have you ever paused in the quiet of your mind and asked yourself, what does it truly mean to be free? To move, think, and live without constraint, is that even possible? Imagine a life unbound by fear, doubt, societal expectation, or circumstance. A life where every action, thought, and choice emerges solely from your essence, untouched by influence or limitation. Now ask yourself, is such absolute freedom a reality, or is it an illusion? Are we ever fully free, or are we always bound by the laws of nature, the expectations of society, the chains of our own mind, or the invisible threads of destiny? Today, we embark on an exploration into the deepest corners of human experience, a journey to understand what freedom truly is and whether it can ever be absolute. The question of absolute freedom is not just philosophical, it is profoundly practical. Understanding the nature and limits of freedom touches every aspect of our lives. The choices we make, the risks we take, and the way we navigate the world. For centuries, thinkers, mystics, and spiritual seekers have grappled with this question. Philosophers ponder whether freedom exists in an absolute sense or only as a relative state. Psychologists examine how our thoughts, beliefs, and conditioning shape the limits of our perceived freedom. Spiritual traditions explore freedom as liberation from attachment, desire, and the ego. Why does it matter to us today? Because the pursuit of freedom is not merely about escaping constraints. It is about awakening to our highest potential, living consciously, and stepping into a life that resonates with authenticity, purpose, and meaning. Let us begin by defining freedom. What does it mean to be free? Is it the absence of external control, such as laws, rules, or social expectations? Or is it the absence of internal restraint, fears, limiting beliefs, and attachments? Absolute freedom implies complete autonomy, complete self-determination, and complete mastery over every influence, both external and internal. It suggests that nothing can dictate your choices, shape your thoughts, or direct your life against your will. But here lies the paradox. As humans, we exist within a web of conditions. Our bodies, minds, relationships, society, culture, and the very laws of the universe. These conditions shape the context in which freedom operates. The moment we recognize that we are influenced by external factors, we see that absolute freedom may not be achievable in a literal sense. Yet within these constraints, freedom remains deeply real, as the freedom to respond, choose, and act consciously within the circumstances that surround us. Externally, freedom is always influenced by circumstance. Societal norms, political systems, economic conditions, and historical events shape the boundaries within which we operate. Even in societies that celebrate liberty, we are influenced by culture, expectation, and the invisible rules that govern behavior. Consider the idea of freedom of choice. You may choose a career, a partner, or a lifestyle, but these choices exist within a framework determined by circumstance, opportunity, resources, social connections, and timing. Absolute freedom, the ability to act without any restriction, may remain forever beyond reach. Yet recognizing these external constraints does not diminish the power of freedom. Awareness of boundaries allows us to navigate them consciously. True liberation often arises not from escaping limits, but from mastering our response to them, from creating agency within the field of influence. If external constraints are one side of the equation, internal constraints form the other. Fear, doubt, desire, attachment, and conditioned thought patterns create chains invisible to the eye yet powerful in their grip. Often, the greatest limitations to freedom exist within the mind itself. Spiritual traditions across the world point to the internal origin of bondage. Buddhism speaks of liberation from desire and attachment. Mystical Christianity emphasizes freedom from ego and fear. Modern psychology explores how subconscious patterns and beliefs shape perception and behavior. Freedom, therefore, is as much an inner journey as an outer one. The more we cultivate awareness, mindfulness, and mastery over our internal landscape, the closer we approach a form of freedom that is profound, enduring, and transformative. Absolute freedom, even if theoretically possible, carries an immense weight of responsibility. The power to act without limitation is inseparable from the duty to act wisely, ethically, and consciously. True freedom is never selfish. It requires understanding, empathy, and alignment with truth. Imagine a life where every choice is fully autonomous. Without discipline, awareness, or ethical grounding, such freedom can easily become chaos, self-destructive, and harmful to others. Therefore, the pursuit of freedom is inseparable from the cultivation of wisdom, integrity, and purpose. Freedom is not merely the right to act. It is the responsibility to choose consciously, to navigate life with clarity, and to rise above impulsive, reactive patterns. In this sense, freedom and responsibility are inseparable partners, guiding us toward authenticity and empowerment. So, if absolute freedom may be unattainable, how do we cultivate deeper, more meaningful freedom in our lives? 1. Awareness of influence. Recognize the forces shaping your life, societal, environmental, and internal. Awareness is the first step toward mastery. 2. Conscious choice. Practice deliberate decision-making. Pause before acting. Reflect on your motivations. Choose not from habit but from intention. 3. Detachment from outcomes. Accept what cannot be changed. Release attachment to results and focus on the process of conscious action. 4. Mastery of self. Cultivate emotional intelligence, mindfulness, and self-discipline. Freedom is impossible without inner mastery. 5. Alignment with purpose. Anchor your actions in a deeper sense of meaning. True freedom emerges when choice aligns with values and vision. Through these steps, we move closer to a freedom that is real, profound, and transformative. A freedom that transcends circumstance and internal limitation, even if absolute, unbounded freedom remains an ideal. Now I want to ask you, how free do you feel in your own life? What chains, visible or invisible, influence your choices, thoughts, and actions? Share your reflections in the comments below. Your insights might inspire others to awaken to the freedom that is possible, even within limitations. To explore these ideas further and to receive guidance, insights, and practices for cultivating conscious freedom, subscribe to my newsletter. Each week, we dive deeper into the mysteries of human potential, awareness, and the journey toward liberation. Absolute freedom, in the literal sense, may remain beyond the reach of any human being. Yet freedom, in its highest and most meaningful form, is not an external state but an inner reality. It is the freedom to respond consciously, to rise above circumstance, to master the mind, and to align action with purpose. The journey toward freedom is a sacred path, a lifelong practice of awareness, choice, and responsibility. It is the recognition that while we may never be free from every influence, we can always be free in how we respond, how we grow, and how we shape the essence of our lives. Embrace this journey. Seek freedom not as a distant ideal but as a living practice. Step into each moment with awareness, courage, and intention. In doing so, you awaken to a freedom that transcends limitation, transforms experience, and reveals the limitless potential within you.